In this video, I'll be sharing with you a simple tutorial on how to cut this stylish princess dart blouse. So if this is something you like, kindly hit on the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. So for this pattern to start, I'm going to draft out the front. So I marked out my shoulder to bust, under bust, waist and blouse length. So for my blouse length, I'm using 5 inches after my waistline. Go ahead to measure the blouse length that you're going to use. At the front of my pattern, I added a button allowance. You can use 1 inch for your button allowance or 1.5. So here, I'll mark my shoulder divided by 2. My shoulder is 14 divided by 2, I have 7, and I'll come down by 1 inch. From here, I'll mark a basic neckline of 3 inches and come down by 3 inches. So I'll just use this as a guide. I'll place my curve drill and I'm going to connect the 3 inches neckline. After connecting from the shoulder, I'm going to connect to the other side of the shoulder for my shoulder slant. After marking this, the next step is to find your chest line, which is your bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5 inches. And I'll place my ruler there, draw out a straight line. Now, after I'm done marking this, I'm going to find my chest line, which is my bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5 inches, and I'll draw a straight line. Now, I'm going to go ahead to divide what I have here into 2 and come out by half. At this point, I'm going to mark my bust circumference divided by 4. After marking this, I'm going to place my ruler, connect this all the way up, and also connect to the under bust of my pattern. The next step I'm going to take is to go ahead to mark out my dart. So my dart is starting from the button allowance, which I'm going to mark my nipple to nipple divided by 2. My nipple to nipple is 7 inches divided by 2. I have 3.5 inches, which I'll mark this all the way to the lower part of my pattern. After I'm done marking this, I'm going to go ahead to connect this all the way down to my blouse length. The next step I'm going to take is to go ahead to mark my dart. For my dart, mark half inch here and 1.5 on the other side. Repeat it also at the waist, half inch here, 1.5 at the other side. If you're plus size, you're going to use 1 inch on this side and then use 2 inches on the other side of your pattern. Now I'll extend this all the way to the lower part of my pattern, and I'll also repeat the same process at this side. That is extending your dart to the lower part of your pattern on both sides. So after I'm done extending my dart, I'll go ahead to outline my pattern. I'll place my ruler, connect from the bust to the under bust. Connect on the other side also. So this is what I have after drafting out, and I'll use my marker to outline. The next step I'll take is to go ahead to divide my armhole into 2 equal parts. From that point, I'm going to connect this to my bust point. After connecting this, I'll outline. Now I'll be marking my dart intake of half inch on both sides of my pattern. I'll go ahead to blend this in and also blend at the other side. After I'm done connecting on both sides, the next step is to go ahead to take out the dart intake, that is the 1 inch dart intake, and I'll reconnect it back to the armhole. This is so that the side will meet up with the center. For insert my body measurement, I'll mark my bust circumference divided by 4, then add my sewing allowance. Move over to the under bust, mark my under bust circumference divided by 4, measure the dart intake, replace, and then I'll add a sewing allowance. Now going over to the waist, I'll mark my waist circumference divided by 4 and I'll replace my dart intake that I took out here, then add a sewing allowance. Now after marking that, I'll go over to my blouse length and I'll go ahead to mark my hip measurement at that point at the lower part. Then I'll measure the dart intake, replace it, and then add a sewing allowance. Use any sewing allowance of your choice. Now I'll just go ahead to place my ruler, connect from that point. Now this dart intake of 1 inch we marked at the armhole, I'll replace it back to the bust area, connect to the under bust, to the waist and to my blouse length. Next, I'll mark my bust dart, and to get your bust dart is the difference between your shoulder to waist in front and your shoulder to waist at the back. My shoulder to waist in front is 17, while my shoulder to waist at the back is 15 and a half. So if I take 15 and a half out of 17, I'll have 1.5. So that is what I marked here, right? So that when you blend out the dart, it's going to, your waist will match up with the waist at the back. For the neckline, I came up a bit from my chest line and I connected it all the way up. So this is what I have now, and I will go ahead to outline. After I'm done outlining this, the next step is to work on the lower part. I drew a little circle to indicate we have a button at that part. Now blend in your dart now, and from the lower part I'll come in by 1 inch. After that, I'll go ahead to come down by ½ inch from my waist, or you can come down by 1 inch, especially if you don't want any part of your body revealing, and I'll go ahead to connect. Now after connecting at this side, I'll come up by 2.5 inches, which I'll go ahead to blend it towards the dart line. So this is what I have for this part. So after that, I'll just go ahead to cut this out. So if you have any question regarding this part of the pattern, please go ahead to leave your question at the comment section. So after cutting this out, we are going to draft out the back pattern of this dress. And at this point, if you haven't yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, please kindly hit on the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and leave your comment. So while cutting out, go ahead to blend out your darts and cut it out. So after this, we'll be moving over to the back pattern of this dress. So this is what I have here. So to cut out the back pattern, I've gone ahead to mark out the basic measurement. I marked a neckline of 3 by 1 inch. So the shoulder to bust, the shoulder to waist, and the blouse length. For the blouse length, I added the same 5 inches after my waistline, and the shoulder to waistline at the back is shorter than that of the front, which is 15 and a half. That's why we have a bust dart at the front part of the pattern. So I'll go ahead to start marking my nipple to nipple divided by 2. My nipple to nipple is 7 inches divided by 2. I have 3.5, which I'll mark all the way to the blouse length. I'll mark a dart intake of ½ inch on both sides and come down by 1 inch from the bust. So I'll go ahead to connect this all the way up, connect on the other side. Now I'll be extending my dart to the lower side of this pattern at both sides. So after marking this, I'll start inserting my measurements, but I'll go ahead to outline my pattern. I'll mark my bust circumference divided by 4, then add my sewing allowance. Mark my waist circumference divided by 4, measure the dart intake, replace, and add my sewing allowance. I'll mark my hip circumference divided by 4 and add my sewing allowance. After marking that, I'll go ahead to connect this all the way to the lower parts. I'll go ahead to use my marker to outline my pattern, then I'll come up by 2.5 inches by the side. You can use 2 inches, you can use 1.5, and then I'll go ahead to connect this to the lower part of my pattern. Now I'll readjust it again, and I'll then go ahead to cut out my pattern. So after cutting, I'm done with the drafting. So if you have any question, kindly leave it at the comment section. Thanks.